Hello, I'm Jack, and if you've seen this channel before, then you would have seen this, my outdoor pizza kitchen. In this video, I wanted to explain how I built it, why I built it, and how much it cost me to build. If you're like me and only have a small workshop to actually carry out most of your woodworking, then you could really benefit from building one of these areas yourself. Even if you get yourself a pizza oven later on, that's absolutely fine. You can slot that in when you get it. Now, obviously this pizza oven that I was gifted a few years ago was the main driver behind why I decided to build this, but I'm really glad that I did. Firstly, I've got somewhere great to actually socialize with friends and obviously cook a load of pizzas, but it's also doubled up as a really great place to actually complete my woodworking projects, no matter what the weather. For those of you that are here to find out how much this cost, make sure to wait until the end of the video where I'll be sharing all of that detail with you. I firstly wanted to explain why it is where it is within my garden. At this time in the evening, at 6:45, this is where the sun is shining. If I'd have built it over there, the sun wouldn't be shining in it, you'd be less inclined to stand in it, and thus less sociable. So think about where you put it within the space that you have available. So I started off this build with using some slabs that I had left over when I took up my old garden path. This is all set on a 4-inch thick slab of hardcore and slabs, and it's given it a really solid foundation for what's about to follow. For any of you that own one of these pizza ovens, you'll know that they are incredibly heavy, which is why I decided that I wanted to have a brick base for it to sit on. I got these bricks off of Facebook Marketplace. They cost me £100, which is a very good price for about 400 bricks. I'm not a bricklayer. I've never done this before, as you can probably tell from the close-ups. However, I'm really glad with the end result here. It's not perfect, but it's good enough, certainly, to hold a pizza oven. I would encourage any of you to give this a go. I think the overall look is fantastic, and I'm really glad I went with this approach. For the worktops, this is something that actually took me quite a long time because I was quite adamant that I needed something sturdy and it had to look good. After all, I was going to be cooking on these things as well, and it had to carry quite a lot of weight. I'm really happy I went with granite. I really think it adds to the overall look and quality of this build, but you don't have to go granite. There are other options out there. I really just went with granite because it was available at the time. You might decide to go with something like quartz. The only thing I wouldn't recommend is wood. That's going to go bad if it gets cold or wet, so keep an eye out for that. But yeah, granite, I vote it all the way. So the pizza oven itself is obviously the main reason that I actually built this. This is a Fontana by Forni. This isn't going to be a review of this pizza oven. We might do that in a future video. The main thing that you need to know about this is, one, the width of it is 900mm, and that is perfect. You fit on a 1200 base. It gives you these nice side shelves that we've got here that I use all the time when I'm actually making the pizzas. Secondly, the chimney. This chimney is actually positioned perfectly to be in the center of the roof that I've built here. So just watch out for that depending on what pizza oven you've got. Now, the area I decided to actually splash out most on this particular build was the oak posts. These are 6-inch solid oak posts. I decided to go for them because these are probably, out of all of it, the area that you see most of, so I really wanted to have that quality look of oak. The only really thing I did when I put these in was actually route off the edges to give it that less sharp feeling as you walked up against it. Everything else is just standard construction timber, but really glad I went oak on the posts. Another thing that you might want to think about for your outdoor pizza kitchen is storage. You'll be surprised how many tools and utensils you need when you're actually making a pizza. I built this. It's got some drawers at the bottom here where I can store some plates and plastic cups. It's got things like my chopping board that I also built myself out of an old piece of oak worktop. And it's really handy because in this drawer up here, I've got things like a cast iron frying pan that I can use if I'm making vegetables, and some utensils that I can use to stoke the fire and get the pizza out of the oven itself. So yeah, think about storage. So the last thing that I wanted to talk you through was the roof. I went for a 10-degree pitch on the roof, and it's the only area where I actually decided to pay someone to finish this off for me. I do not felt roofs for a living, and the guy that did this does. He did a really good job. It cost me £120 to have this felted, and that works really well. I've had absolutely no leaks, so I really recommend that you do something similar with your own. Unless, of course, you know what you're doing, in which case do it yourself. Obviously you can't just have pizza oven smoke going into the top of all of your roof structure. So what I did here was actually cut a hole in the roof itself, poke through a chimney pot, and then I've actually had the felt roof pushed up against that, and that's allowed me to poke the chimney of the pizza oven out the top here, so all of the smoke, which I'm now breathing in, can escape nicely and doesn't get trapped in the roof there. So that was a tour of my outdoor pizza kitchen, and I know what you're thinking. I've had it for 2 years. What would I change? Well, I'll tell you, one of the things, and there's two, one of the things I would change is I wouldn't bother with these struts along the top here. As I was building this, I didn't really know necessarily how I was going to finish the roof. It's the first time I've constructed a roof of this design. I don't think these are particularly necessary. They were as I was building it, but now it's built, I think these could come off. I can't do that because I've notched out these back bits here and that would look silly, but that's one thing that I wouldn't do. Secondly, what I would try and do better. I mentioned this earlier in the video, but the actual brickwork itself, like I say, if you're a bricklayer out there or a builder, you will probably be laughing right now at the level of skill that I have around brickwork, which is not a lot, but you can see I could have got this more level. So if I was to do this again, I'd probably take my time a little bit more and try and get this just a little bit better than I did. So one area that I'm not particularly happy with, and if I was to do this again, I would definitely change it, was how all of this has gone really bad. This is oak flooring that I was given. Someone was throwing this away. I didn't realize at the time that it had this lacquer layer on it. 2 years later, you can see it's starting to peel off. So I think I am gonna have to remove this and change it for something a bit more durable. So yeah, watch out for the materials you use and make sure you check if it's got this stuff on it. So you're probably all asking, because of the title of this video, how much did this cost to build? Well, I've got it all here on my phone and I wanted to break it down for you. For the slab floor, which included the hardcore and cement, that was £250. For the brick base, I got those bricks off of Facebook. That was £100 for the bricks and another £100 for the cement. The granite worktops, that was £100. The pizza oven itself was £500. That was a little bit of discount at Costco, so thank you for that. Oak post, £250. Roof was £200. The felt roof was £120, and the chimney pot that sits nicely on top was £20, bringing the grand total to £1,640, which is precisely £7,350 less than I was quoted to build this by a builder. I think you will agree, very much worth doing it yourself. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.